What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Michigan Sports Talk here. In this one, we go over true freshman quarterback Bryce Underwood winning his first weekly award at Michigan following his outstanding performance against Central Michigan, plus Biff Poggi saying Michigan will hold nothing back against Nebraska. We also go over what Nebraska head coach Matt Rhule had to say about the Michigan offense and Wink Martindale's led defense, and also why Michigan may have an incredible advantage moving forward defensively. And we also go over some offensive line shakeups here for the Wolverines, and also some big time recruiting news on a flip target and a top in-state wide receiver target planning visits to Michigan. It's all going to be in this video and more, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so to start this video, first did want to talk about Michigan true freshman quarterback Bryce Underwood winning his first weekly award here at Michigan following his outstanding performance in week 3 against Central Michigan. Had 235 passing yards, 114 rushing yards, and 3 total touchdowns. And his performance against Central Michigan was enough to take home Big Ten Freshman of the Week following his 349 total yards and 3 total touchdown performance against Central Michigan. So pretty cool right there. Underwood, Big Ten Freshman of the Week, and I have a feeling he's going to be getting a lot of those this season. Wolverines finally unleashed Bryce Underwood against Central Michigan, and doesn't seem like they're going to be going back now. You know, there's no holding back. Biff Poggi even said never again about, you know, the offensive game plan against Oklahoma. They're going to let Bryce Underwood be Bryce Underwood. And Biff Poggi did join Inside Michigan Football radio show Monday evening. He said that there will be nothing held back in the playbook at Nebraska. Absolutely nothing. If you look at the plays that were called that broke down for one reason or the other, and he was himself. He was a player on the field making plays, and those were some of the biggest plays in the football game. You know, he said every week he's grown. Obviously, I would like to think the past game against Central Michigan was a game where he transferred from taking his last step as being a freshman in his very first steps as now becoming a more seasoned player. You know, he said nobody in the building should be calling him a freshman anymore. It's bad for his mindset. He is now becoming a seasoned player, and with that comes expectations. He said his advice for him, though, for the Nebraska game, you know, he told him after he threw the interception against Central Michigan that I love that, I'm fine, push the ball, play hard, be creative, and be you, and if he does that, we're going to be okay. Now, Matt Rhule, Nebraska's head coach, did speak to the media about the upcoming game against Michigan, and you know, he said they still have the same core philosophies. They are 15th in rush offense, 25th in rush defense, and they're going to have elite play up front on both sides of the ball. But then the quarterback brought the dynamic element. He was their leading rusher in their last game. You know, it was get out and utilize his legs and his skill set, so that obviously adds another element to it. Also spoke on the Michigan defense, though, and Wink Martindale, he said Wink's elite, you know, pressure. He's one of my favorite coaches. You know, had a lot of respect for him when he was in the NFL. And he said Wink, like John, does a great job of showing you one picture. Oh, here he comes. Then they bring the jack in the corner. You know, they bring the 5-man pressure. They run to cover 2. So Dylan will have to be prepared, and coaches will have to be prepared for all the different pictures you see and might see. All right, so Michigan has a big one coming up here this Saturday against Nebraska. And have you guys ever heard of the Sleeper app? Here's a little secret. It's more than just a platform for season-long fantasy leagues. The app offers so much more. And this week in this Michigan-Nebraska game, I am taking Dylan Raiola to pass for less than 224.5 passing yards. I trust the Michigan defense, Wink Martindale, to get the job done. I'm also going with Bryce Underwood to pass for more than 180.5 passing yards. And also, how about Justice Haynes? He has been on a tear recently. I'm going Justice Haynes anytime touchdown scorer, and those are my picks here for this Michigan-Nebraska game. A huge one for the Wolverines. Let me know what you guys think. Also, your early score predictions, and you can also use promo code MST. You'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. link down below in the description. Check out Sleeper today. Now, one guy defensively who could be an absolute game wrecker here against Nebraska is Jashawn Barham. We saw more of him on the defensive line and at edge against Central Michigan. He was an absolute game wrecker in that one. Had 2 sacks, was getting pressure on the quarterback. Michigan's pass rush from the edge position has kind of been underwhelming through the first 2 games. They definitely got after the quarterback in the Central Michigan game. Even Poggi said on Inside Michigan Football Radio show that he's an incredibly disruptive player, and athletically he's very unique because he's big, but he can really run and he is twitched up. He said defensive coordinator Wink Martindale views him and others as so disruptive that you've got to account for him. So find him. We're going to move him around. Find him before you snap the ball. But he said it's not only just him and his matchup against a tackle off the edge. You have Derek Moore, TJ Guy, Cameron Brandt, all these different guys that can give you so many different problems. So look for Jashawn Barham to be on the edge more, because you got the offensive line who will have to probably slide the protection to Jashawn, and then you've got also Derek Moore on the other side. So you kind of gotta pick your poison. And obviously with the way Cole Sullivan and Jimmy Rolder are playing at the linebacker position, even Troy Bowles has been pretty impressive this season. So as long as you got those guys stepping up at the linebacker position, you can no doubt put Jashawn Barham on the edge more here. As long as he continues to give offenses problems, keep doing it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, as far as Michigan's offensive line, they were obviously without Giovanni Ohadi and Brady Norton in the game against Central Michigan, but there seemed to be some improvement. They had almost 400 rushing yards in that game. Poggi, Sharon Moore, they know they've got to get better there. Poggi said that position is a very difficult position to master, especially when you have young players. It's an incredibly intricate position, but we got better, and I'm proud of how we did. Now, one offensive lineman who did impress in the Central Michigan game was Jake Guarnera in his first start versus Central Michigan. Brady Norton, Michigan potentially could get him back for Central Michigan. It will be interesting to see if Jake Guarnera starts over Nathan Afobe in the game against Nebraska, with obviously Giovanni Ohadi out against Nebraska. So there could be some changes on the offensive line right there for the Wolverines. And Sharon Moore has made the offensive line, a priority here. The past week when he was with the team, he spent a lot of the individual time with them, and it will most likely continue. That's what Biff Poggi said. But another big thing here for this Nebraska game is going to be the player leadership here, as it faces a big test without their head coach Sharon Moore on the sidelines with them. But Biff Poggi, very confident in the player leadership here, and this team will obviously be motivated here against Nebraska, just like they were against Central Michigan, and hopefully that continues. We do got some recruiting news here I wanted to talk about. We've talked about the flip target in Michigan State linebacker commit Braylon Hodge, who is now ranked as a 4-star on 24/7 Sports Composite Rankings, comes from the state of Colorado. Michigan has been pushing for him, picked up recent offers from Michigan and Texas, and according to Ethan McDowell of On3 and the Wolverine, sounds like he's eyeing the weekend of the Wisconsin game for his first visit to Michigan, and potentially could also get up later in the year as well. So while he's still, committed to Michigan State, he's definitely taken an open-minded approach, as there has been a new surge in interest from multiple teams, including Michigan, and obviously Michigan does need top linebacker in this class. So big news right there. And then also the in-state very talented wide receiver Dakota Grant, top 100 receiver ranked as a 4-star from Harper Woods, Michigan, recently released his initial visit schedule that left Michigan out. However, according to Ethan McDowell of On3 and the Wolverine, looks like he will be stopping for the Purdue game and also for the Ohio State game, as he plans on visiting Michigan twice here, as long as he is able to make the multiple trips and his high school football schedule allows it, as he has recently said that he's got to see Bryce Underwood in action. And Dakota Grant, just one of many very talented in-state and Midwest wide receivers that Michigan is going after. They have got to put together an elite wide receiver class, because again, tons of talent in the Midwest and even in state here for the Wolverines. They do not have to travel far to land some elite wide receivers this cycle in the 2027 class. And obviously with the way Bryce Underwood's been playing, as long as he continues that, should be a lot easier for the Wolverines. But with that, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to go ahead, drop a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more. If you are new around here, I greatly appreciate it. And all that, we will see you guys in the next video. Go Blue.